I'm looking at all of this and I find myself saying,
A'ja Wilson's career might actually be over, and the Las Vegas Aces just leaked information that could destroy everything she's worked for. The three-time MVP, who just made WNBA history, is now facing the biggest crisis of her professional life, and honestly, it's absolutely ridiculous how this all went down.
This was in 1997, and then she's now one of 4 players that have 3 MVPs under their belt: Cheryl Swoops, Lisa.
Here's what nobody saw coming. Wilson's contract details got exposed, and the numbers are so embarrassing that fans are questioning whether the WNBA even values its biggest stars. We're talking about a player who literally received every single first-place MVP vote this season, something that has never happened before in league history, yet her paycheck tells a completely different story. The leaked information shows Wilson is making just $200,000 per season. That's right, the woman who scored over 1,000 points in a single season and broke records left and right is earning less than what some bench players make in other professional sports.
Indiana Fever made the playoffs. They didn't play last night, but thanks to Las Vegas with a win over Chicago.
But wait, it gets worse. Wilson's total contract with the Aces is only $400,000 spread across 2 years. Think about that for a second. The best player in women's basketball, someone who has dominated the league for 3 straight years, is making what some people spend on a decent car. Meanwhile, rookie Caitlin Clark walked into the league with a $28 million Nike deal before even playing a professional game. The plot thickens when you realize this contract situation isn't just about money. Wilson has been dropping hints about league favoritism and questionable agendas for months. She's watched newer players get pushed to the front, while veterans who built this league get left behind with scraps. And here's where things get really messy. The Aces organization apparently knew this information would eventually surface, but they did nothing to protect their franchise player. Instead, they let Wilson become a laughingstock on social media, while other players with 0 championships are securing bag after bag. Wilson's situation proves that being the best doesn't guarantee you'll be treated fairly. She's got 3 MVP awards, 2 championships, Olympic gold medals, and basically every record you can think of. Yet she's stuck in a contract that makes her look desperate and undervalued. But the real kicker is this: the same league that claims to support its players just watched their biggest star get embarrassed publicly while doing absolutely nothing about it. Wilson carried the WNBA on her back for years, bringing legitimacy and skill that elevated everyone around her. Now she's facing questions about whether staying in this league is even worth it anymore. The leaked contract details aren't just numbers on paper. They represent years of Wilson getting disrespected, while less accomplished players cash in on hype and marketing campaigns she helped create. Now let's dig deeper into the madness, because Wilson's achievements make this contract situation even more insulting. This woman didn't just win 3 MVP awards by accident. She absolutely demolished every record in sight and turned the Las Vegas Aces into a dynasty that other teams fear. Wilson became the first player in WNBA history to receive all 61 first-place MVP votes in the same season. Every single voter agreed she was the best, which never happens in professional sports. Critics always find someone else to support, but Wilson was so dominant that even her haters had to admit she deserved recognition. But that's not even the crazy part. She shattered Diana Taurasi's scoring average record that stood for 18 years. Taurasi averaged 25.3 points per game back in 2006, and people thought that record would never fall. Wilson came through and made it look easy while carrying her team to another championship. The 1,000 points in a single season milestone had never been reached before Wilson decided to rewrite the history books. She didn't just break the record, she obliterated it and kept scoring like the rim owed her money. Other players spend entire careers trying to reach 800 points in a season, and Wilson made 1,000 look routine. Here's what makes this even more ridiculous. Wilson accomplished all these historic feats while making peanuts compared to what male athletes earn for far less impressive achievements. She's out there breaking records that will probably stand for decades, and the league rewarded her with a contract that wouldn't even cover a decent house payment in most cities. The Western Conference Player of the Month awards kept piling up because Wilson was consistently the best player on the court every single night. She didn't have off games or disappearing acts like other so-called superstars. Wilson showed up ready to dominate, whether her team was winning by 30 or losing by 10. And here's the part that should make everyone angry. Wilson's Olympic gold medal performance helped bring international attention to women's basketball. She represented the United States on the biggest stage and proved that WNBA players can compete with anyone in the world. The league benefited from that exposure, but Wilson's contract suggests they don't really care about rewarding excellence. What's absolutely mind-blowing is that Wilson has been carrying the league's reputation while getting paid like a part-time employee. She's the face of women's basketball dominance, the player other teams build their entire defensive strategies around, and the reason fans tune in to watch games. The Las Vegas Aces won back-to-back championships primarily because Wilson decided to take over games when it mattered most. She elevated her teammates, made average players look good, and turned the franchise into a money-making machine. Yet her personal compensation reflects none of that value or impact on the organization's success. Speaking of unfairness, let's talk about the elephant in the room that makes Wilson's situation look even more ridiculous. Caitlin Clark walked into the WNBA and immediately became the highest paid women's basketball player in history without winning a single professional game. The contrast between these two situations is absolutely insane. Clark secured a $28 million Nike endorsement deal over 8 years before she even got drafted. That's $3.5 million per year just for wearing swooshes and smiling for cameras. Meanwhile, Wilson was out here winning actual championships and MVP awards while making less in her entire contract than Clark makes in 1 month. But here's where it gets absolutely bonkers. Clark's deal included her own signature shoe line, something Wilson had been waiting years to receive despite being the best player in the league. Nike apparently decided that potential and hype were more valuable than actual dominance and proven success. The timing of Clark's massive payday couldn't have been worse for Wilson's confidence in the league. Here's a rookie who hadn't proved anything at the professional level getting treated like royalty, while the 3-time MVP was stuck begging for basic respect through her contract negotiations. And let's be brutally honest about this situation. Clark brought attention to women's basketball, but Wilson had been carrying the sport's credibility for years without getting rewarded proportionally. The WNBA used Wilson's excellence to build their brand, then acted surprised when she felt undervalued compared to newer faces. Clark's Indiana Fever jersey sales went through the roof before she played a single minute. Fans were buying merchandise for someone they hoped would be good rather than supporting the player who was already historically great. Wilson watched this happen while wearing uniforms that barely moved off the shelves despite her incredible achievements. The real slap in the face came when Clark started breaking rookie records that got more media coverage than Wilson's MVP caliber performances. Every Clark triple-double was treated like breaking news, while Wilson's 1,000-point season was discussed like a footnote in league history. Television ratings spiked whenever Clark played, and suddenly everyone wanted to talk about the future of women's basketball. Wilson had been that future for 3 straight years, but apparently she wasn't marketable enough to deserve the same financial treatment or promotional push. What makes this comparison even more frustrating is that Wilson actually delivered on every promise while Clark was still trying to prove she belonged. Championships, individual awards, record-breaking performances, and international success meant nothing when it came time to negotiate fair compensation. The WNBA's salary cap structure was supposedly designed to create parity, but it really just ensured that established stars like Wilson would never earn what they deserved. Clark found ways around those limitations through endorsements, while Wilson was stuck playing by rules that punished excellence. The bottom line is this: Wilson's leaked contract proves that being the best player doesn't guarantee financial security in women's professional sports. The league would rather invest in potential marketability than reward actual greatness, and Wilson became the perfect example of how backwards those priorities really are. Now, here's where everything falls apart completely, because Wilson's contract problems are just the beginning of the Las Vegas Aces organizational disaster. The team that won back-to-back championships is now watching their entire roster crumble, and Wilson might be stuck on a sinking ship with nowhere to go. Kate Martin's sudden departure to the Golden State Valkyries sent shockwaves through the organization. Martin was a solid contributor who played meaningful minutes during the first half of the season, but coach Becky Hammon mysteriously cut her playing time to almost nothing. Martin went from being a reliable rotation player to riding the bench for 5 minutes per game. But that's just the tip of the iceberg. Kelsey Plum and Alicia Clark are both reportedly considering their options, and these aren't bench players we're talking about. These are core contributors who helped build the Aces championship culture alongside Wilson. Losing them would destroy the team's chemistry and competitive advantage. Sydney Colson and Tiffany Hayes are also rumored to be exploring other opportunities, which means the Aces could lose half their rotation before next season even starts. Wilson might wake up one day and realize she's the only veteran left on a team full of rookies and journeymen. Here's what makes this situation absolutely terrible for Wilson. She's locked into that embarrassing contract for another year while her supporting cast abandons ship. The front office apparently can't afford to keep talented players around, but they also can't pay their franchise player what she's actually worth. Martin's move to Golden State was particularly telling because she cited wanting a fresh start and new opportunities. Translation: the Aces' organizational dysfunction pushed away a young player who should have been part of their future. Wilson watched one of her favorite teammates get driven away by coaching decisions that made no sense. And here's the really scary part. If the Aces can't retain their supporting cast, Wilson's individual numbers might stay high, but the team's success will disappear. She'll be putting up MVP caliber statistics on a lottery team, which makes her look less valuable to other organizations if she ever wants to leave. The championship window that Wilson helped create is closing faster than anyone expected. The Aces went from dynasty to dysfunction in one offseason, and Wilson is trapped in the middle of this organizational collapse with a contract that prevents her from exploring better situations. What's absolutely mind-blowing is that the Aces front office seems more concerned with saving money than keeping their championship core together. They're about to waste Wilson's prime years by surrounding her with inferior talent while paying her like a role player. Wilson built her legacy by elevating teammates and making everyone around her better, but you can't win championships by yourself, and the Aces are systematically removing every player who helped Wilson achieve her greatest successes. She's going from playing with champions to playing with whoever they can afford. The harsh reality is this: Wilson's leaked contract might force her to consider demanding a trade or exploring other options when her deal expires. The Aces created this mess by undervaluing their best player while mismanaging their roster, and now Wilson might be the one who pays the biggest price for their incompetence. But here's the real truth behind this entire mess that nobody wants to admit publicly. Wilson's leaked contract isn't just about money or organizational incompetence. This situation exposes how the WNBA treats its established stars compared to players who generate social media buzz and mainstream attention. The league's salary cap is supposedly set to increase to $1.5 million in 2025, which should help Wilson finally get paid what she deserves. But this timeline means she had to suffer through years of being underpaid while watching less accomplished players secure massive endorsement deals and media coverage. What's absolutely infuriating about this whole situation is that Wilson has been hinting about league favoritism and questionable agendas for months. She's watched the WNBA push certain narratives while ignoring the players who actually built the foundation for current success. Wilson's contract situation proves she was right about those concerns. The leaked information suggests that even three-time MVPs aren't safe from organizational disrespect and financial manipulation. Wilson carried the league's credibility through dominant performances, but the business side of basketball apparently values potential over proven excellence. She's been treated like a replaceable commodity despite being irreplaceable on the court. And here's what should terrify WNBA executives. If Wilson decides she's had enough and explores options overseas or retires early, the league loses its most dominant player during what should be her prime years. European teams pay top players significantly more than WNBA contracts allow, and Wilson has already proven she can dominate at any level. Wilson's situation also highlights how the WNBA's collective bargaining agreement protects team owners more than players. The salary structure ensures that even generational talents like Wilson can't earn market value while teams profit from their success. She's been subsidizing the league's growth while receiving minimal compensation. The most brutal part of this whole disaster is that Wilson's legacy shouldn't be defined by contract drama and organizational failures. She's arguably the greatest player in WNBA history, someone who revolutionized the center position and redefined what dominance looks like in women's basketball. Wilson's 1,000-point season will be remembered long after people forget about social media feuds and endorsement controversies. Her back-to-back championships with the Aces created a standard of excellence that other teams still can't match. These achievements matter more than any leaked contract details or roster moves. But the damage is already done because Wilson now knows exactly how little the league values her contributions compared to players who generate headlines. She spent years being the best while watching others get rewarded for being popular, and that has to affect her motivation and long-term commitment. The bottom line is this: Wilson's career isn't over because she's still the best player in the world, but her relationship with the WNBA might never recover from this contract embarrassment. She deserves better than being underpaid and underappreciated while carrying an entire league on her shoulders. Wilson will continue dominating because that's what champions do, but the leaked contract situation proves that excellence doesn't guarantee respect in professional sports. She's learned that being the best isn't enough if you're not the most marketable, and that's a lesson no three-time MVP should have to learn. If you're enjoying this content and want to see more breakdowns of sports drama and behind-the-scenes stories, please hit the subscribe button and help support the channel.